This is my first piece of advice to anyone with student finances. Get mum and dad to do it all.
Hi!
Hey guys.
After popular demand, we decided to do a excruciating video going through all of our finances, which made me cry several times last night, so thank you for that, you 3 individuals who requested this video. We're going to do a deep dive into our yearly and monthly costs. We need to make several disclaimers before we start discussing this video. We are not the average, ordinary St. Andrews student. We lead extremely extravagant and expensive lifestyles.
Especially Kiana.
I just feel like that's very necessary to say up front.
Expenses can vary, not just between students, but also personally I found that my expenses vary month to month, depending on what is going on in the academic year. What's also important to say is a lot of the extra expenses that Kiana and I probably have had in the last year, some of them won't be incurred by freshers.
Yearly costs first, like tuition and accommodation. As an international student, my uni fees per year are £21,290.
That's actually insane.
Yeah, per year. Don't we love it? And I pay that in 2 sections, so I pay half of it in September and half of it in January.
And so obviously for a UK student, you just pay wait, how much is it? 9,250. I say just, a lot of people will probably still argue that's too much. So university run accommodation, so like student halls and all that stuff, that does go up every year. So every year they'll add an increase on that. So for my accommodation this year, which was catered standard, it was 6,800 and something pounds.
I paid 8,865.
Yeah, and I think the most expensive accommodation now is about £9,000.
Yeah, there's actually been a huge controversy this year about accommodation. The Fife Council, including council tax, students are absolutely outraged that the university wasn't paying it.
Either way, check the university website for all information about how much accommodation costs and also how much you have to pay in terms of fees for the university itself and how you can pay those.
We'll include a link below.
Okay, let's talk about your rent and then we'll talk about average rent.
This flat is great location, way too small for the price that I'm being asked to pay. It's 1,500. In total, from September to May, I have paid 13,100.
That's absolutely mental. Some people might be paying that over the course of the entire 3 years.
I'm well aware. I did not need you to tell me that.
We need to give a disclaimer here as well. Just the fact that Kiana obviously lives in a 2-bedroom flat in the centre of town, so that rent price would have been halved if she'd lived with somebody else. Also, living in town obviously is expensive and can range anywhere between 600 to around 800, whereas the further out of town you go, the cheaper it gets.
Okay, so we have a big range, I would say. The lowest that I've spent in a month is 135. The highest is £506.
Again, not the average St. Andrews student.
My groceries are split into 3 different things, which is the organic shop on South Street, Tesco and Holland & Barrett.
To give you a perspective for someone who lives in halls or who's lived in halls this year. So for instance, for me, because my meals were catered, the majority of the time when I got there for a meal, it was fine. However, your life can also take over in which you can't go to every meal because you're either tired or you have an event on or an activity or a society or something to do. This is me trying to justify the fact that my food should not be this expensive to say I live in a catered hall. So on average, in terms of groceries and food and stuff, I probably spend about £65 to £70 in the course of a month. Also, I think this is a good time to say that St. Andrews Tesco in town is one of the most expensive Tesco's in the UK.
I would also say if you have a car and you're unsure about whether or not you should bring it, I would advise you to bring it because then you can drive a little further out of town. There's a big Tesco because the one we have in town is a Tesco Express. So the normal Tesco that's I think 10 minutes out of town, like a drive, that one will be cheaper and it'll have way more things in it as well.
Okay, what's the next category?
Eating out.
Why?
The lowest I've spent is £60 and the most I've spent is 200.
So my average for eating out was £85. We're classing eating out as also like going to like a cafe or something for like a tea or something like that.
The little Starbucks and coffees and teas and stuff, they just pile on.
It does rack up. I think that's just the nature of St Andrew's culture, because a lot of socialising and stuff like that is done through being like, oh, should we go to this coffee shop?
Doing this finance stuff has given me a whole new perspective on how I need to be treating my finances. I said to you earlier as well, I was like, I'm literally only gonna go out for a meal twice. Who's Starbucks? I don't even know her. I can make coffee at home. If my friends are like, yeah, let's catch up for tea, I'll say, yeah, come to my flat at this hour. I will make you tea or coffee. I don't care. Essentials. The lowest I have spent is £90.
Your budgeting really scares me.
And the highest I've spent, please don't kill me on this one, is £774.
In a month? Okay, you really need to learn, like, how to say no to things.
I put my gym membership in that category as well. That's £160, so that's included in that. I would include that as an essential.
My essentials on average are about £20 a month for like toiletries and stuff like that. However, I'm also, like you were including stuff like that, like the gym, I'm going to include stuff like laundry and stuff like that. So for hauls, this is probably the biggest spender that you'll probably, and it's the most frustrating spend that you'll have in first year. The way that the laundry machines work, they take your money and like they will just keep it. They do not give you a good service for what you're paying for. So on average, I spend about £20, £25 a month on laundry because of the way that the system has to be constantly topped up on your card. Also, for stuff that I don't do laundry in the halls, so stuff that I take to like the dry cleaners, for instance, that could add on like another average of probably like £5-10 a month, depending how often I go. So for instance, when I've gone, it's just been to like take certain shirts or jumpers and stuff like that.
Also depends on what it is as well. For my long dresses, they want extra money for that. Non-essentials, things like clothes and books, like stuff you order from Amazon. The lowest that I have spent is £84, and the highest that I've spent, £561. Again, it was September. My birthday's in September, so I tend to do a lot of money splashing for that. I ordered a new outfit for myself, ordered a cake, I ordered champagne glasses.
Non-essentials for me ranges so much. So on average, I think it's probably about 50, 55.
Nights out and events. The least that I've spent has been £19.
Oh, that's really cheap.
And then the most I've spent, 136.
For me, for instance, this varies so much month to month, there's no point me even giving a monthly average. I would just say in terms of like events, they can range from anything. So the most expensive ball I've gone to was reeling. It was £70 for the ball and then £15 for membership. So that was actually like £85 for that ball. And then obviously whatever drinks you buy there. The cheapest ball I think I've gone to was like a £20 ticket maybe.
Oh no, actually no, cheaper. Whole balls are way cheaper. My whole ball was £8.
Oh, well this is true. So Sally's ball in first year for me was £10, but then I also spent £40 at the bar when I got there.
And this is why I think my whole ball was just such a good time. And they had like a theme as well. The theme was Diablo, so like hot and like fire and stuff. So I wore this like red dress and it was a great time.
What did any of that have to do with finances?
Nothing, but I just wanted to say it was a fun ball.
So if you live in Sally's, it's the most pretentious hall to live in. And our theme for our hall ball, this literally has nothing to do with finances, but we're just going to go down this tangent. My hall ball, the theme was Impressionism, a night with Monet.
Are you joking?
In which they believed that a night with Monet concluded with fairy lights and a load of random vines. Events and stuff like that can really vary because they can go from really expensive to really cheap. It also depends if you're buying a new outfit or something for a ball or an event or something.
And also, I understand the pressure is out there, ladies, to buy a new dress every single time you have an event. I feel that pressure. I have done it. I've succumbed to it myself. But I implore you to rewear your dresses and save money.
There's a really good society, I think, that was set up by someone in St Andrews or an organisation or something in which you can swap dresses with people or hire dresses out from different people.
Also, charity shops. Hit up the charity shops.
It's the same for guys. Like, I buy a different bow tie for every ball I go to, basically. It's not a necessity, but I just choose to do it.
You have like 20 now, don't you?
It's an inordinate number. We don't need to count it.
Module costs. Module costs will shift depending on what month it is, because I also included like trips to Ryman and stuff as my module costs. So like those months I'm maybe spending like £5 or sometimes not even spending any money. Let's say September and January, when you get back, beginning of the semesters, I spend an average of like 80 to 100.
For me, in September of second year, I spent like the most amount of money I've ever had to spend on books for a course, in which it was over £250.
Are you joking?
No, it was ridiculous because I had to buy all of that English bundle, which cost what, like £90 or something. I had to buy that, and then I had to buy 2 textbooks for history, and then I also had to buy the course readers for the tutorials on top of that. It was well over £250 by the time I bought all of my course books for September, which obviously only last you for 1 term anyway.
Also, I would say sometimes you'll find students selling their books for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, this is true. And also, I was going to say charity shops again for books. You can usually always, if you go early enough in the year, so like straight away in September, you can usually find a lot of books that you need for your course because other students, older students like us, will have left them there.
Yeah, top tip, Bernardo's books on Bell Street is always selling like all the books.
Some months in the middle of terms will have no expenses at all, but then I also find that by the time I get to the end of a month, like the end of the term, exam time is when I also seem to spend a lot on module costs. Printing. For some reason, I do a lot of printing.
Oh, I do too. I mean, actually no. Second year, I've done way less printing than I did in first year.
Module costs can vary as well, depending on the course you're taking. Like, I don't have a clue what science students have to buy.
Oh, they have like massive textbooks and stuff as well. Medical costs. Let's talk about my unique situation here. Sometimes very difficult to be referred to specialist doctors by your GP for specific scenarios. So I was going through very bad on and off periods of like having lots of acne. I needed to be referred to a specialist so that I could start taking Accutane because that was kind of the last thing that I hadn't tried. My GP just would not refer me to a NHS specialist doctor. So the moment I asked her to refer me to a private doctor, she did. I went to a private dermatologist. That ended up costing a lot of money for a consultation. And then on top of that, I had to buy the medication on my own as well. And that was very expensive as well. And then obviously I have my cat here with me. Sky, say hello. Or don't say hello, that's fine. Sky, when she got here, she had quite a bit of costs as well because she kept getting ill. The lowest that I spent was £54 and then the highest I've spent is £239. I just want to reveal how my budget has been during quarantine compared to the highest month that I've spent money. This is not including my rent, by the way. This is just everything else. So the highest I spent was in September, which was £2,141.
It's not even funny anymore.
And then the lowest I spent was the month of April, which was £450.
You've got a big decrease there, so you're doing better.
Tom, don't even get me started. Like, I actually, you 3 people who commented for us to do this, you've made me ashamed so many times while doing my finances.
Do we have any general tips for budgeting in St Andrews?
Go out less.
But you can't do this as a fresher because you need to make friends.
As a fresher, don't go overboard. Like, I got really excited because when I lived in Doha, I couldn't like order anything to my house because international shipping didn't work like that. So I just got a bit excited with Amazon and all that stuff.
So basically, what I think is the biggest takeaway from this is that Kiana and I are not average students. We spend ridiculous amounts on things that are unnecessary to live a student lifestyle most of the time.
If you guys want to see a wider range of what people spend, because I'm sure there are both people who spend way more than we do and way less than we do, so if you would like that, please do let us know.
And also, I would say, just as a general tip to anyone living in St Andrews who's coming here for university, number 1, don't feel a need to go to every single event, and number 2, don't feel pressured into trying to live a certain expectation or live a certain lifestyle just because you're living in St Andrews with lots of people who live very extravagant lives. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope that's given you some insight into what it's like to try and budget in St Andrews. As you can see, clearly Kiana and I are not very good at it.
Again, we are not representations for a student at this university. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is just, we are just very, what's the word? High maintenance. We are very high maintenance individuals.
So we hope that's helped you guys out. Please do let us know though if you have any more specific questions about finances or budgeting in St Andrews. We'll also make sure that there's some links in the description box below to do with finance in St Andrews and money matters and stuff like like that.
And don't hesitate to message us either.
But otherwise, please like, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.